Brought to you by Epic Adventure Outfitters. Today I'm going to take you on a walk around of my triple battery setup in my 2020 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon Ecodiesel. Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Casey. This is my 2020 Jeep Wrangler. Over the last week I have been doing a ton of work on the Jeep, getting it prepared for some huge road trips, and one of the big things that I wanted to add is some upgrades to my batteries as well as lighting. Now, I was over at Epic Adventure Outfitters for 2 solid days working with them, getting all of this installation done, and I thought you guys would like a detailed walk around showing you exactly what I've done and what I've added to the Jeep. And I'm going to start with under the hood. I'll show you what we've done there as far as electrical additions, as well as what exactly is a triple battery setup. Now, I want to preface this video a little bit by saying this is probably not the most cost-effective way to add some additional battery systems to your Jeep. Part of what I like to do here is give you guys ideas. There's a lot of different ways and variations that you can take on this setup. This is how I did it, and because I have such great partners like Dometic and Oxbeam supplying some gear, it made it a little easier to do it this way, but I'm willing to bet you guys will get some ideas of how to add some stuff to your rig as well. Before I get into the overview, let me share my goals with the work that we've been doing. First of all, I want it to be able to run scene lights or camp lights when we get to camp and not have to worry about my battery, like my vehicle battery, being depleted and not being able to start up in the morning. I want to make sure that my fridge is always running and not affected by anything else in my Jeep. So the fridge can't kill the main battery to start. As well, if I'm running a bunch of lights, I don't have to worry about my fridge not being able to have power because possibly they're running off the same battery or battery circuits. And I want it to all to be removable. So dual battery systems, generally, if you're putting something under the hood, require a bunch of moving around of the ECU to make room, or the fuse box, and getting smaller batteries than OEM, and they're more challenging to reverse. Secondly, I wanted to be able to remove it from the vehicle should I need more cargo area, and you guys will fully understand. So let's get started with the walk around, and I'm going to show you exactly just what we've done. Quick look at just some of the things we're powering. When we're running and off-roading, we've got our off-road lights for when we hit the trails in the dark. Up on the pillar, we have both Baja Designs S1 spots and wides, and down on our bumper, I have a pair of their LP6 lights. So all of this needs to be part of a power system that I can manage and turn on and off as needed. But then we have the newest lights to the Jeep. So we have added some of the Baja Designs S2 scene lights, and these have a diffused lens on them. So they're nice, wide, and just scatter the light everywhere. Really great for lighting up around your Jeep. So I've added one of those and one of those facing the rear area. So this is going to light up when we have our camp setup open. Now, the tailgate, if you guys watched last week's video, we're going to be adding a tailgate table to this. We're going to be doing some cooking in this area, so I wanted to have great light. And there's a little preview of one of the locations that I mounted one of the Oxbeam controllers to. We've just mounted these onto some 2-inch tube clamps that I picked up on Amazon, and I'll put lots of links down in the description below for today's video and all the products that we've used. And so we've got a pair of these mounted up on the Adventure Rack Systems 2-inch bar, and this does a great job lighting this whole area that we're going to be doing cooking in. Now, in addition to that, under our awning, we've got another pair of S2 scene lights. So I've got one here, and I've got one here up front. And these are also mounted to my cross rails on my Adventure Rack system. So these are the S2 scene lights as well, with these diffused lenses on them. And I wanted some good light for underneath the awning area. So when I extend out my awning, it comes all the way up to the side about 8 feet. And these lights do a great job at just filling this whole area. And so we've got the awning on this side because this is how I generally access my fridge. As well, I keep a small table and usually all my dry goods right here. And we have our Lifesaver portable jerry can, which is what I use to carry around about 20 liters of water that gets filtered if we need to refill it. So I never have to worry about running out of water when we're out. Well, I guess unless we're in the desert. You know, I can access all my cooking stuff right off the back. We're gonna have a nice tailgate table. We'll have tons of lighting all in this area and tons of lighting all in this area. And we can just open our tailgate up, and I still need to put some stickers on here, but we pop those on, and the lights turn on, no problem. You're probably thinking, oh, what are you gonna have when you have your tailgate table here? Well, this is just gonna move, and we're gonna rotate this right off to the side where we've got a bit of room right next to our table that's gonna be going on. I'm not gonna share which one I've got yet. Keep an eye out for that. Batteries that we have in here are tucked nicely in behind everything, but we'll get to that in just a second. Let's start with the engine bay, and I'll show you what's going on where we started the wiring, and we'll work our way to the back of the Jeep. All right, let's take a look under the hood, guys. Now, we've got the Ecodiesel engine, so our battery configuration is a little bit different than a gas model. We've got our battery towards the firewall, and we've got our fuse box, the factory fuse box up front. So if you are doing something like this, it may work a little bit differently. So what I've added, first of all, we've got the aux beam controller here. This is going to be our switch system for our off-road lights. So this is powered solely by the vehicle's battery. And this is for lights that we're going to be running when the vehicle is on. So we've got our Baja Designs lights up front. We've got our pillar lights. We're also going to be adding some rock lights, maybe under the frame or in here. And I'm going to be adding some reverse lights and some dust follow lights for when we're out on the trail. But we've got our aux beam hooked right up to the main battery, this one here. And then we've got a breaker for it so that if we need to disconnect it, we can just hit that and it kills the circuit. And as well, you know, if we exceed 60 amps, it will shut this off. Then we've got a second one that's going to the back. So what we've got now is a system that will be charging our batteries. So there's no additional batteries underneath the hood. We've just got our main battery for the vehicle. But what I've added here is this smart battery isolator. So what this isolator does is when the current hits 13.3 volts, this will re-engage and it will start sending power from the alternator to its destination. Now its destination is going to be in the back of the vehicle. And when this drops down to 12.8 volts, basically when the alternator is off, so the vehicle is off and not charging, this will disconnect. And so that means the alternator and the wiring that this is connected up to on the main battery will be disconnected from the rear batteries. And so the load and the systems in the back won't be able to draw anything from this main battery. So when we start the vehicle up, it'll start sending current to the back and start charging up our batteries and topping them off automatically. And we can disconnect this system by hitting that there if we want a manual disconnect. Now, some of you guys are probably going to ask, how did we route the wiring to the back? Because you see wires just all over the place. We've got wires coming up here. These go up to the cowl lights, but all of the main wiring drops down in behind the fender liner and follows along the frame rail into the back seat. And then we've put a hole just down below here with a weather sealed grommet that brings up these main lines. So we've got the main line that's coming up here, and then this extra wire here, this is going to be our switch controller wire for our aux beam that you just saw on the tailgate. So let's get some of the cargo out of the back, and I'll show you just what's going on underneath there because it's pretty cool. And just so you know, if you're wondering where I keep my fridge, I keep it in the middle. This is a Dometic CFX 55. I kind of switch between this and a 28 depending on how many days I'm going out. And here's where the power cable's coming in from behind the Tuffy security deck. Real quick before we go to the back, let me show you where we installed the actual switch panel for the aux beam. It's right here, right above me. So a couple things with this. I wanted this, get some focus on here. I wanted this out of the way because if I have it on and I have the lights on, I didn't want the illumination in my face up front because I have really bad night vision. When something is in my eyes, I can't see very well in the dark. So I wanted this up and out of the way. Let me show you what those lights look like. I've got this actually wired up to the auxiliary switch, so I can have this activate only when the vehicle is on. So I just hit aux 3, and now this whole panel lights up. So we've got the panel lights up, and we can activate any of the switches just like that. And if we forget that we had some lights on for some reason, these auxiliary switches can be programmed to toggle on and off with the vehicle as it starts. So I've got mine set to turn off when we turn the vehicle off. But there we go. Once the vehicle shuts off, the auxiliary switch will shut off and the aux beam switch panel will shut off as well. And that means none of my big off-road lights will stay on and drain my main vehicle battery once we've turned off the Jeep. With these aux beam controllers, they're really cost effective compared to some of the other switching solutions, and it's all solid state, so there's no relays inside of that box. Just kind of showing you guys some of what is possible with dual batteries and switching. Okay, this setup is still a little bit of a work in progress. I've just put a big MDF sheet down on the back of my cargo area, and this is, what I'm doing with this is I'm starting to add some tie downs and places that I can secure my gear better, because right now my extra fuel can, my portable toilet, those aren't secured. They can slide forward and back, and I'm working on that. And my Jackery 1000, which I'm not including in this triple battery setup, is easily detached by just taking one of these magnets off, and I can pull it out. And we're gonna have to pull all this out so I can show you everything. I should probably disconnect this before I wreck it. Let's get the rest of this stuff out of here so I can show you these fun parts here and what's behind this DeWalt case. Here is our triple battery setup. So we've got the vehicle battery in the engine bay, and now in the back we've got two Dometic PLB 40s. So this is where it gets kind of expensive, because these aren't exactly the cheapest battery out there, but they're easily portable, they have a nice handle on them, and they do a really good job at regulating the power to fridges and stuff. But there's lots of other options for batteries you could put back here. You could put one large battery, maybe two different sized batteries if you want to have one running your fridge and one running house lights and other items. But basically with that smart controller that we have under the hood, you can send current back here when the vehicle's on and the alternator brings the voltage up high enough to activate it. So over here in the corner, we've got our wires coming in, following along the top of the Tuffy security deck. So this Tuffy security deck has really made this installation a lot easier, because we can route and keep all the wires up and out of the way. Now back here, how does this setup work? Right here we have a Blue Sea System fuse panel, which you can get these on Amazon. They're all over the place. So when the alternator's on, it's powering this system. Anything I want in the back to be running when the vehicle is running, I can plug in and connect up to this. So it's really handy for anything else we might want activated charging, and only when the vehicle is on and running. So what I've done is wired up a pair of Anderson connectors to this, and by we I mean a lot of this work was done by Landon over at Epic Adventure Outfitters. Huge thanks to those guys for all the help. But we've got a pair of Anderson connectors that go to one to each PLB 40 battery. So these are the big Anderson connectors, and this will supply power to each one of these batteries when the vehicle is on. One of these PLB 40s will draw in about 8 amps each. So they have their own built-in charge controllers in them, so you can plan appropriately with fuses, wiring gauges, etc. All those really important. So between the two of them, we've got under 20 amps charging them when they are low. So a cool thing about the PLB 40s, well, we can plug in USB, we can plug in a standard 12 volt to them, and then they have these 12 volt 2-pin twist lock connectors. So this is their fridge connector, and if you take the 12 volt end piece off it, all their connectors unscrew, you have these 2-pin pieces here, which we can now screw in, and these won't vibrate out or come loose during off-roading. And so we can attach anything we want here up to 15 amps. So one of these batteries, get this connected back up. One of these batteries is solely connected to the fridge only, and it will charge when the vehicle's on, and it will only run the fridge. As long as this battery has charge in it, the fridge is going to stay running. The second battery though, we've taken one of those 2-pin connectors and cut the other end off it, and we've sent it up here to a second aux beam controller, just like the one that you saw under the hood. And so now we've got up to 15 amps of power that we can run anything we want off. And with LED lights, you can run quite a few lights off 15 amps. So this is powering the aux beam controller, and as long as we have power in the other battery, the aux beam controller has power, and we can now wire any of our house lights or camp lights or whatever you want to call them, scene lights, to this and turn them on and be running them off the second PLB 40. And so we've got our controller run all the way out to here. And so we've got some room for some other stuff as long as we don't exceed the 15 amps. I want to run a 12 volt USB receptacle up to my rooftop tent. A lot of rooftop tents, including this one, have USB powered lights in them. My sleeping bag is USB powered and heated, which is great for these cold winter camping nights. And I can charge my phone or something else off of that, and it will be all well within the 15 amps. So before I wrap up this video, guys, I'd love to ask a huge favor of you. A huge percentage of you that watch these videos aren't subscribed and are watching them every week. My goal this year is to hit 100,000 subscribers, and I can't do it without your help. I appreciate everybody who's subscribed, leaves a like on the videos, and leaves comments that I do my best to try and answer. But do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button, because I upload new videos every week, and I'll see you in the next one.